My name is Katherine Haley, and yes, I work for the Speaker of the House, John Boehner. I've been on the Hill for about 12 years. I've been in D.C. for about 14 since I came as a fellow. But I wanted to start off, so how many of you knew what you wanted to be when you were in elementary school? Any hands? I did. Okay, handful, maybe. How many of you pursued various extracurricular activities related to pursuing whatever that calling was? A few people, maybe. So I wanted to be a doctor, so I hung out at hospitals. I volunteered a lot. I was a patient advocate. I started the medical doctor club in high school, created fellowships and opportunities for my colleagues to go and learn what it was going to be like to be a doctor. So how many of you have also consistently taken the desires of your heart and laid them at the foot of the cross, asking God for direction, guidance, blessing as you pursued that calling? Hopefully all of you. So since 5th grade, I could answer yes to all of those questions. I knew I wanted to be a reconstructive surgeon, repairing that which was broken and sharing with my patients that God cares deeply about those men and women and wanted to heal them, not only on the inside, but on the outside, and that he had great plans for their lives. In college, I was pre-med and received a certificate in human development where I studied the biopsychosocial and spiritual model of human development. For me, taking these classes was I wanted to look at the whole span of men and women and wanted to address that full scope of who they are as what I hope to be a surgeon. I wanted to have this holistic lens. As I prepared to graduate from college, I knew I wanted to take some time off, and I wanted to kind of deepen my faith. I'd been a Christian for probably most of my life, but I wanted to deepen my faith and connect the heart and the mind as I prepared for what I knew was going to be a very long journey. As you guys know, medical school is 4 more years. You have residencies, fellowships, all these different types of things, but I knew what my 5, 10, 15, and 30-year plan was going to be. But I felt it would be really nice and really important to take a little off-road for a few minutes to dig deeper in what that meant to connect my heart and my mind with my broader sense of calling. So earlier I said, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? Have you ever stopped to think about your interests or those things that you've excelled at, but you shrugged them off as, that's not part of my vocation, that's not part of my calling? Well, that happened to me, and just not understanding fully that an interest in pedagogy or service learning or an interest in the poor or a fascination with travel and developing countries and helping individuals that, as Kate alluded earlier, individuals that may not be seen or individuals that our culture doesn't determine have value, how all of those seemingly incongruent interests could be used for God's glory now. It wasn't until after my fellows year that I was willing, I think, to hear God's still small voice over the din of my own petitions, my own prayers, my own demands, and my own pursuits, all of which I think were probably good, but I hadn't paused long enough to actually hear God speak. As God, about 12 years ago, slowly stripped idol after idol away, such as accolades or relationships, issues of pride, he left me feeling very bare and very exposed and also derailed, where I was able to hear him say, this medical school, pursuit of medicine, is not what I have for you. It's like, well, what about those last 15 years, preparing me for what I thought was a career in medicine? It's like, well, I have something else, but I'm not going to reveal it completely for you yet, so bear with me and wrestle with me and come to understand what I have for you, as much of what Kate talked about, understanding these little components of life, how they play into a larger picture. So today, instead of a literal sense of healing through medicine, God has taken me on a different path, where today I'm able to literally see the dead come back to life, and those that society has deemed to be invaluable and thrown away have a future. Now, how is that? With the help of wise and godly mentors and friends, I have learned that my vocation and my gifts can be revealed not with just a title like I am a reconstructive surgeon, but with I'm an encourager. I connect people. I serve as a catalyst every single day in my job. I listen. I advocate. I demonstrate respect. I'm a conscience in my office. I have a deep value and appreciation for life and the human potential. I serve, and I get to use creativity not in sewing someone's face back together, but trying to figure out a path forward in advocacy and policy and legislation. Romans 12, 3-8 describes different gifts of the body of Christ. Paul writes, through many, each member has a specific function to bring honor and glory to God. It might be through prophesying, serving, teaching, encouraging, giving, leading, or demonstrating or showing mercy. But before that, Paul describes the service of the body of Christ by saying, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasing, perfect will. So what does that mean for me? I'm not a doctor, and I'm not able to use medicine to heal and give people hope for a future. So earlier I mentioned that it took me time to recognize some various gifts and talents that I have as an encourager and connector, one that demonstrates service, someone who has empathy, a catalyst, one who demonstrates respect. Today, I use each of these things in all aspects of my life. Kate talked about this. Those of you who know Steve Garber talk about this seamless integration of life. So as a policy advisor on Capitol Hill, I get to write bills. I get to form coalitions, all with the goal of moving an idea to the finish line, to enact legislation, to enact laws that can impact all of your lives. It means that I can take an idea with HIV and AIDS, or global health, or education reform, or welfare reform, or workforce training, all interests of mine that I've had for decades, and I get to connect them all together in one seamless integration of my life. So last week I was in Tanzania, where I was on a fact-finding trip with looking at Tanzania's response to HIV and AIDS. They receive over $400 million from the US government to address this epidemic, and it's amazing. 10 years ago, these men and women that I got to meet, it was a death sentence. It's like, here you go, HIV positive, you're gonna probably die within a couple of months. Now, these men and women are getting antiretroviral treatments, and they're able then to provide a hope and a future, kids that now have parents to their kids. They get to ensure that this next generation is not orphaned. I also, as I did on Thursday, get to go visit a local DC public charter school that's given kids who traditionally would be zoned for a very underperforming, failing school, they get to go and now have a hope and a future. These kids are learning Arabic and Mandarin Chinese and Latin. These are kids that before society was like, whatever, no value to you. But those kids get to be just like any of us or like me, affecting the outcome of all these different individuals. So anyway, so what I learned through the Fellows Program is that I get to connect all different aspects of my life, not just in my work, but also in my extracurricular activities. So serving on a board of the Capitol Hill Pregnancy Center, or being an advocate for Opportunity International that provides microloans to individuals in the developing world. It's We're serving on the Fellows Board and connecting those who have gone ahead of us with those that are just coming out of school so that we have a visualization of what it's like to live seamlessly. So my future is not clear. I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm not a surgeon, but it's a continuous evolving process. But what I do know is that I follow after Christ down this very narrow road, is that my call is to serve him in whatever sphere he's called me to be, by encouraging, serving, connecting, empathizing, and listening to others. So thank you.